Hello, everybody. It looks like it is 4 o'clock, so we're going to do our best to keep admitting people as they start coming to this online webinar that we have. We're really glad that you can all join us today. This is COVID-19 in your career, and we have a couple special guests today. Really, we're hoping that us as the career development team and Pam Flores, who's here representing Nike, can talk a little bit about the state of jobs and internships just during this pandemic time, but we really want to be answering the questions that you have on your mind. So I'm going to encourage you to use the comments section if you have any specific questions, and we will get right to it. We hope this is helpful. My name is Donna Montoya. And I'm one of the assistant directors in Linfield Career Development. I work primarily in strategic partnerships, and Pam and I have gotten to work together a couple times to help students connect with Nike. So we're glad to have her here. Let's see, Christy, would you like to introduce yourself really quickly?
Yes, thanks, Donna. I am Christy McKay. I'm also an assistant director in career development, and I get to focus my work on internship engagement with students, with faculty, with employers.
Thank you.
And I am
Michael.
Mike Hampton, Director of Career Development. And just a reminder, I know it's hard to concentrate on schoolwork and your career search, job search, but career development is here for you and your needs in that way. And today is part of that, but please reach out to us afterwards if you have any questions or need anything.
Yes, thanks, Michael. And of course, we have Pam here with Nike, who's in talent acquisition. Pam, do you want to introduce yourself really quickly?
Hi, my name is Pam Flores. I'm born and raised in Portland, and I've been with Nike for the last 2 years now. I started with Nike recruiting for their finance and accounting department. From there, I moved over to support HR for HR, and now I'm doing a little bit with our diversity and inclusion team in partnerships and events. So a lot of Nike experience that I just love sharing with students, because it wasn't too long ago that I was in your same shoes, although I didn't necessarily have to go through a global pandemic while I was going through it. So,
and that definitely adds a layer.
Sure.
So we do have quite a few guests. So if you have any specific questions, please be sure to put them in the group chat, and we'll try to get to them. We're here to answer the questions that you have about your job search. It can be specific with Nike or for the time of the pandemic or in general. In the meantime, I think I'll start with a question for Pam. So what does your industry look like right now during the pandemic? What can you tell us about the employment experience and any hiring experiences?
That's a good question. I think the sportswear industry right now has been taking a really good look at itself, and specifically how we interact and engage with our consumers. Nike has been rolling out a ton of different virtual workout programs. Like, I know we had a week long of just like lots of yoga sessions and stuff. So we're definitely looking at what sport needs, but what has been echoed from our leadership team is the world needs Nike more than ever. I think more than ever, it's important for people to take care of their health and be active. And so we're really just leaning on our mission statement, which is to bring inspiration and innovation to athletes everywhere. And we believe if you have a body, you are an athlete. And so, yeah, I think that the sportswear industry is definitely changing. You know, it's kind of been a really big focus to come directly to our consumers. And now, especially with most of our stores closed, we are coming directly to people. So in terms of recruiting, I'm definitely seeing a little bit of a slowdown, and that's just because we don't really know what the world will look like in the next even 2 weeks. And so it has definitely been a little bit slower in terms of hiring. And then the hiring that we are doing, I had someone that started just this Monday and his entire onboarding was virtual. So we're definitely taking a look at things on a case by case basis, and just definitely the world that we live and play in is changing, and we're just trying to stay ahead of the curve. I know we have a class of summer interns that are going to be joining Nike shortly, and I do know that all of our intern programs are off and running, so that's really excited to hear that. Although it will be mainly virtual, we're still getting students that work experience that they're looking for.
And so kind of a follow-up question. So you working in talent acquisition and in recruiting, especially as you're looking at the current state of the pandemic, and we know that a lot of people who are looking for jobs or internships are a little bit nervous about that. And we feel like, when we get nervous, sometimes we just want to keep taking action. So as a recruiter, what are the best things that a job seeker or an internship seeker could be doing right now with you in terms of reach out or research?
Yeah, I think now is a really great time to reach out and do that research, just because everyone is at home, everyone's work has, kind of changed or slowed down. And I know that right now, personally, is a really great time for us to do a lot of the work that sometimes takes a back burner because we're just, in the day-to-day grind. And so now is a really good time to reach out to folks who you're interested in their role or the function that they're in, and just get a little bit more learning. I think people are more open to doing informational interviews and whatnot when they have more time. So now's a really good time to get that research and then also build those relationships. I think all hiring, but especially at Nike, is very relationship based. And so just taking some time to build relationships, grow your network, and then figure out, what exactly you're interested in is a really good idea. It's also a really good idea to get very crisp and clean with your interviewing skills and with your resume, because recruiters are doing a lot of pipelining right now. And what that means for us recruiters is having ready to go talent, because when the hiring gets ramped up again, we want to have really great talent that we've engaged with or know a little bit about. So definitely a good time to reach out to recruiters, reach out to managers, or just people who, based on maybe like their LinkedIn, you're interested in their role. For sure.
Knowing that Nike receives thousands, hundreds of thousands of candidates, potential candidates for each position, right now during this time, what advances someone to be competitive in the position you're hiring for versus not? What are you seeing the characteristics or some of the things that these folks are doing to get to be hired by Nike?
Characteristics. Well, I think now is a really good time to showcase your comfort in ambiguity. That's a really big part of working at Nike. Something that we look for in any and every single one of our employees is someone who can navigate ambiguity, work through change, and really someone who's going to be able to thrive in the gray area. Now more than ever is a really good time to showcase those skills or showcase how you're overcoming that. And we look for that not only, obviously being younger in your career, maybe you haven't had the chance to get professional work experience where you're able to navigate through ambiguity. But now's the time to really sit back and reflect on how are you working through this pandemic? How are you completing your coursework? I think finals is up around the corner. Maybe it just passed. So did you have any group projects? It's a really good time to showcase that, write it down, and then really be able to speak to it. And I think the other part of your question was around what can set people apart from the crowd. And I think it's that on kind of the same thread, like someone who is able to connect with others, build relationships, and who's also going to show up and be professional. And be able to demonstrate that you have delivered results.
Do you know of other industries who are hiring right now that Nike would favor, that some of our students get experience with, so that when there is an increase in hiring at Nike, they're more competitive for those positions? Any vendors or other industry areas?
I don't specifically know off of the top of my head, but I would say that in general, the experience that we're looking for a lot of times is going to depend on the role. And so it is a really good idea to do informational interviews and kind of learn about why this person was chosen for a job or whatnot, like what were the skills and experiences that translated over. I think kind of rule of thumb, it'd be to kind of take a look at the industry you're in, and then from there, look at companies that are comparable to Nike in size and scope. But that doesn't necessarily mean focus purely on Fortune 500 companies, because I do think it's important to get a mix of kind of that startup feel and kind of getting scrappy and like rolling up your sleeves, and then also working for a large company so that you know how to navigate through the matrix or through the like complex business units. So I think all experience is good experience. And I heard this quote when I was doing one of my first internships. I interned at Macy's, and it was bloom where you're planted. And to me, that really means that you can grow and learn from wherever you're placed, and it's really more about what you're going to do with it. And then I also would say that, personally, me growing up, I never wanted to be in retail. I worked in retail. But then all these opportunities just kind of opened up for me from retail. And now I work at Nike, which is one of the largest retailers in the world. So definitely bloom where you're planted, and make the most of any of your experiences.
That is really good advice. And that actually reminded me of a question that I know a lot of students have. So before I ask that, I want to let the students know that if you just joined us, we're taking questions. So let us know through the chat if you have a question. If there's anything on your mind, what are you most concerned about for your job or internship search? Or what are you unsure about? That this is a really good time to ask that, and we can answer it for everyone. So Pam, you mentioned you had your internship at Macy's and bloom where you're planted, and really make the most of your experience. And we know a lot of our students had already secured internships for either the spring or this upcoming summer, and there's some questions around that. So I'm actually going to throw this question into Christy, and then if any of the rest of us on the panel have anything else to add. But so Christy, for students who already have internships, what do you do if you're worried it might get canceled or it might get moved back or go virtual?
That is a fantastic question. Thank you for bringing that up. The answer to that is to communicate and over communicate, ask questions, be in touch, let them know that you're open to a remote experience. Let your internship supervisor know that you would be willing to continue the internship in a revised role if necessary. But just let them know that you are, as Pam was saying, that you are nimble, that you are able to function in this area of really unknowing. So communicate with them, let them know you have a strong internet connection, let them know that you are willing to work from home, and ask all of those questions and do everything that you can to show them that you are just ready to go and can still be active and make an impact on the company or organization, and also an impact on your career with the summer internship.
I would add also that it is not the recruiter's or really employer's fault if they need to withdraw the internship offer. I think you can talk with the recruiter or the hiring manager about ideas they have about other possible internship sites and leverage those connections so that you are kind of still moving forward even though one door is closed. you're planting another seed and growing where you're at and looking for that next opportunity through your existing connections already.
And so if we have heard that for a couple students, their internships weren't canceled, but they have gone virtual. And so how can someone take advantage of the fact that it might not be what they expected to do, but there might be a whole different set of opportunity? What, I guess from Christy's point of view and from Pam's point of view, how do you leverage this opportunity and grow from that?
All right, do you want me to take a stab at that one first, Donna? So because your internship may not be exactly what it was initially designed to do, this is really an opportunity for you to grow as a young professional. So maybe you were going to be marketing for a specific product, and now you're going to be doing some higher level marketing for a product group or something. So, or maybe you're going to be working with a different group because something in your initial internship couldn't be virtual. This is your opportunity to just broaden your perspective, to learn more things, even if you're not super comfortable with what they're asking you to do. Say yes, and know that the base of knowledge that you have from your coursework at Linfield gives you a really good basis on which to attempt the project. But this is also a time to ask a bunch of questions and show that you're a fabulous team player and that you are ready to learn. So Pam, I'd love to hear what you have to say about this one.
I think that is really great advice, but I'd say embrace it, because not everyone is going to be able to say that they have done a virtual internship. So really leverage that. I mean, this is definitely the world we live in is moving so much towards the tech sphere. Even at Nike, I have many teammates who had fully remote jobs already. And so now we're kind of getting a taste of the world they live in. So being able to thrive in a virtual environment is definitely a skill that you can highlight and put at the very top of your resume. A few tips for like virtual working: have your computer on, your screen on. It just like makes it a lot more personable and helps build that connection. And then try to go and attend as many virtual meetings as you can. Ask if you're able to shadow, just be kind of a fly on the wall. Over communicate, definitely. I think Christy mentioned that. Over communicate. So much can get lost in email. And then just definitely pick up the phone or hop on a web chat whenever possible to continue making those connections. And then also try to have some fun. I think that is a really nice part of working virtually. Even though we're removed, there's part of it that is very personal. I feel like all my coworkers now know what the inside of my apartment looks like or whatnot. So try to add something fun. If you have a pet, bring that with you or put it on display. Just definitely try to have your personality come through.
I like that. So now we can all have permission for the dog or the cat to walk by. I think you're right. I think it's giving a whole new view into people's personalities and people's lives. And it's not something we thought we would be doing as professionals or as young professionals, as interns. But I think done right and with the right attitude, it can help us get to know each other better and understand each other. We have a really good question from one of the attendees, and Pam, it's directed at you, and it's a little long, so I'll try to read it and make sure it makes sense as I'm saying it. So this is from a recent grad. What is the best avenue for recent graduates to apply for entry-level positions? Are there some platforms like either the company website or LinkedIn that are better than others? And kind of a follow-up, does an application in a stack of 100 applications even get noticed without previous networking at a place like Nike?
Okay, good question. I will start with the application question first and give you a little insight into how that works at Nike. So although a lot of our jobs can be funneled into other places, the Nike career site, which is jobs.nike.com, is the best place to go just to make sure you're seeing the most current up-to-date openings. That is very accurate. When you apply through the Nike portal, you have to create a little profile. It's really quick and easy. And then you have to answer some pre-screening questions. And those pre-screening questions are really important to take note of. I think a lot of times people get excited by maybe a title and maybe don't read all the way through the qualifications, but we do have pretty strict guidelines for even considering applications. And those are often around years of experience and a mix of education, or then certain like hard skills that we're looking for. So I'd say definitely be honest in those, but on the recruiting side, if someone doesn't meet the minimum qualifications of a role, I actually can't so much as consider them as part of our applicant pool. And so just pay really close attention to the requirements of the job description. And if it doesn't really fit, I mean, it's a good learning point, but maybe don't apply just because we definitely like to look for candidates that are focused in their search and not just mass applying to like 300 openings that they're not qualified for. So that's kind of how the application system works. But if you do meet the minimum qualifications, then we do our very best to look through all of those applications. It does depend a little bit on the volume and then where we're at in the process. So yes, it's definitely possible. I have personally hired multiple people who didn't have any connections to Nike and just applied through the website. So I've seen that happen firsthand. In terms of job openings, especially entry level, I would say contract roles are a really good thing if you are able to do that. I personally started at Nike on a contract because I was very entry level when I came in. And it gives you a really good opportunity to kind of get your foot in the door, build your network, make those relationships, and then really show up and prove yourself. It's real competitive. The Nike way is like not everyone is a winner. And so definitely be ready for that. But there are a number of different agencies that Nike uses as vendors for our contractors. So usually, and what being a contractor means is that you will have like a 3, 6, or 1 year assignment with Nike, and you'll have a pretty specific role. And then depending on headcount availability and then performance, you have the possibility to then become a permanent employee with Nike. So it took me a year to become a permanent employee, and it just, there's a lot that factors into it. But once you are part of the team and stuff, it's pretty difficult for them to turn you away if you're performing well. So some of the vendors that I know Nike uses are CBRE is the name of one. And then Pro Unlimited is like the top vendor that we go through. And so that's a really good place to keep an eye out for contract opportunities. LinkedIn is another place where you might come across some contract opportunities. But on the Nike career website, we only have full-time roles. So if you're looking for contract roles, get your foot in the door, 1 to 3 years of experience, contract is a really good way to go. At Nike, typically, our entry level starts at 3 years of experience. Did I answer the whole question? Okay.
I was just going to add that I think in these times that more employers are going to look at contract employees. They're a little hesitant to increase their permanent workforce. And so that's not a bad option to, again, gain experience in different industries, reach out to those contract companies and see where you fit in. And they want to screen you in as opposed to screen you out because they need to supply employees to the folks who are wanting or have these needs. And so that's a great option right now, is to look into the temporary employee or contract employee route.
And yeah, I think you answered the question. It's a really good one, and very to the point. So something that came to my mind as you were talking, and from a couple things that you mentioned previously, it's interesting because we are all in this together but separately. And as people who are working professionals, their work lives have changed a lot. For our students, their student lives have changed a lot. Maybe they didn't get to do their internship they had planned, or their leadership position with a co-curricular club on campus, they're not really feeling like they can do much with it, or they're not working as a student employee at Linfield. And I know something on a lot of students' minds is, what do I do? What do I tell employers, first of all? But what are some things that I can do now to set myself up, or to get experience, or to not feel idle, but to come out of this in what will be a new normal, not trying to catch up with the rest, but what can I do to put myself ahead during this really weird time? So as you think of what students might be able to do you have any ideas, Pam, or anyone else on the panel as well, as good ways to put your energy?
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one for sure. And I think it might look a little different depending on what industry you're interested in. But I do feel that we all are saving like commuting time and, you know, a lot of other ways that we're just at home and have dedicated focus time. And so just researching and learning as much as you can from the internet, putting on like personal projects that you're working on. I think all of those things take a lot of initiative and a lot of skill to be able to execute, especially on your own. And then don't be afraid to like reach out to others and collaborate and work on things together, because I think we get so much further when we do collaborate and just kind of being creative. I think it would depend a little bit by industry, but I know that like in our downtime, I've been doing a lot of LinkedIn learnings or watching a lot of TED Talks and just trying to prepare for the upcoming changing world, as you mentioned. And so just kind of using the resources that you have, or seeing if your like university has any resources, or you can just do personal or professional learning, and really trying to continue to build your brand. And that's very important. Every single person has a personal brand, and you're the one who really determines what yours looks like. And so just keeping in mind that, you know, we are in a global pandemic, and I think people will be a little bit more open to any like potential gaps or whatnot in your resume, but really how you can make the most of this time will be up to you. But yeah, I mean, definitely I think LinkedIn learnings are amazing, but I think not all that content is free. So TED Talks, even YouTube has a lot of great material.
I also think that this is a great time to strengthen some skills in maybe some passion areas. If you've been dabbling in photography, spend some more time with that. Or you know, maybe it's something like planting a garden and, you know, having all of those resources at your fingertips. I see some really good interview questions coming about what you did with your time during the pandemic. And so not everything is going to be a professional related answer in that sense, but make sure that there are some that help you to be, you know, maybe it's a better teammate, or maybe it's, you know, just better at certain skills. So work on something and have an answer to that question of what did you do in your free time during the pandemic?
And what skills do you want to contribute in a nonprofit way to an organization? So if you're a writer, if you're an editor, if this whole technology piece is secondhand to you, a lot of these organizations are struggling to figure out what to do and how to move forward and operate. And that volunteering and you taking the initiative is a great answer to that question of, so what did you do? What do you plan? And it can be, again, in areas that are appealing to you and not outside your comfort zone. And so think about the organizations you've been involved with, the things you're involved with on campus, knowing that we would accept volunteers for certain projects, and keep active and busy and your mind working so that you have evidence for these employers that you did take initiative and this whole COVID thing is not getting you down.
That's great. Thank you. And we're actually at 4:30, and we made this webinar pretty short and sweet. We wanted to make sure that we got to the point, and we're able to talk specifically just about what you can be doing now, and how to reach out to employers and what employers like Nike look for, and some really great tips from Pam specifically about Nike. So I think we will wrap it up now. If you have any other questions that you didn't really want to ask during this session, please know that you can always reach out to Career. We're career@linfield.edu, and my colleagues and I can get back to you. We're here to help you with pretty much what we talked about today. If you'd like to reach out to alumni at Nike, or talent acquisition at Nike, or alumni or strategic partners in any of the industries you're interested in, that's something that we can help with. We can talk about your career path or what you're doing now, and how to really use it for your benefit personally and professionally, and put it on your resume. And Christy is here to help you look for those internships and make them the most that you can during this time. Sorry, I got interrupted. Working from home. So big thanks to Pam for joining us, and thank you to Christy and Michael as well for letting us ask questions. Thank you for everyone for attending, and you can find us at career@linfield.edu.